Hello, I am Davina, and hello to all of you bold, beautiful, brilliant, and highly evolved souls. Today's topic is the scapegoat, the truth teller. And I have had another kind of an epiphany, I think, or perhaps it's just a really deeper knowing. And I think that's kind of how the unraveling kind of works, is just as the denial peels off, you get a deeper and deeper knowing of the truth. And the truth for the scapegoat is that they were not the defective one, that they were dumped upon by their family members. And this is, of course, a complete 180 from what we were conditioned to believe. We were conditioned to believe through our parents' abuse, through their neglect, that there was something wrong with us, that we were too sensitive, that we were weak, that we were inadequate, that we couldn't cope with the world, we weren't capable enough, and on and on. And all of this, I'll say simply, and all of this so that they could maintain their own denial, and so that they didn't have to face their own childhood pain and grief and shame and all the rest of it. And it's really just become clear to me that, like, even more clear, that they are so that their main goal is just maintain that denial, stay in their fantasy world, and they will throw the scapegoat under the bus. They don't care. They are fine with pointing the finger at someone else and blaming that person and shaming that person so that they can just maintain their status quo. And if you were brainwashed at an early age, as I believe I was, as I know I was, and it is brainwashing. This is another realization that I've had, is that it is truly a brainwashing that happens. It's no different than if someone blared into your ear every day, "You're unworthy, you're inadequate, you're unlovable, you're incompetent, you're lazy, you're crazy," all that stuff. It's literally a brainwashing. And I looked up the steps of brainwashing, and it's, this is what narcissists do. It is like, it is control and domination and coercion and manipulation. And this is, I believe it is an unconscious process, but it doesn't really matter. I went off on a tangent there, but, as a child, you're brainwashed maybe for the first, like, I think for me, like, it doesn't take long. I mean, your subconscious, I could probably make 3 videos out of this, but your subconscious, like, as a child, it's important to understand, like, how easily you're brainwashed, how easily, like, you have no filters. It's basically like you're in this hypnotic state, and you are just so susceptible, so vulnerable to just anything anybody tells you. Your parents, what they tell you, you take as the truth. You're very, like, in this very suggestible state, this brain, I forget what brain wave it is, but you're in this different kind of brain wave, not unlike someone who's been hypnotized. And if your parents told you to cluck like a chicken, you would cluck like a chicken, because that's what you thought was true, because these are your parents and you believe your parents. And so, like, you grow up and you become brainwashed, and then, you might go for a long time just believing in this reality that they created, that you are defective, that you're crazy, that you're too sensitive, and you believe in their crazy fantasy world because you have to. And this is what happens in cults too. And you go along with this. And then as long as you're going along and you're conforming, you might seem like your parents are being kind of nice to you. Maybe your siblings are kind of nice and friendly even. And it seems like because you're maintaining the status quo, that things kind of go along just fine, right? But as soon as you start standing up, as soon as the scapegoat starts blowing that whistle, starts the truth telling, starts being their authentic self, showing up with more power, showing up with boundaries and speaking their mind and speaking the truth, and saying, hey, no, I don't like it when you do that, and hey, could you please do this, and as soon as you do that, you will see their true colors. They will, at that point, they will try to hammer you back down because they don't want you to like come up and say, guess what, we're all living in denial here. They don't want you to do that, so they're going to pound you back down. And it is the scapegoat who really needs to stay so strong. It takes such an incredible strength to be a scapegoat and to hold on to your truth and know in your core, in your soul, that you are not crazy. And you might ask yourself 100 times, am I crazy here? What's going on? Do I feel crazy? And you are not crazy. You're really not crazy. Everything that you believed in your childhood is really the exact opposite. It is like flipped. It's like you are the most mentally healthy one, and your parents are the sick, crazy people. And I do say this with humility as well, because the reason I could also see how can people do that? How can people really not care? And to not care about another human being in order to maintain their denial. But I saw this like in myself, in my mid-30s, when I was in the probably peak of my addiction. I did some really not nice things. And I remember one friend in particular, and truly, I didn't care. All I cared about was going to the club, going to the nightclub and dancing and getting drunk. And I really didn't care who came with me, or if you had a problem. I'm just like, shh, denial and addiction can make humans like really kind of evil. It's really kind of almost like an evil, sinister, and even with the scapegoat, I think it's almost like a conspiracy, really. It's an unconscious conspiracy that your whole family takes on, so that they can say, yes, we're a functional, fine family, but she's the problem. We're fine. We don't have any issues. It is a sad and deeply painful thing to awaken to this truth and to be disillusioned and wonder about the world and who do I trust? And I've just come to the conclusion I can't even trust my own therapist, I think, because if someone's in more denial than I am, then inevitably I'm going to be feeling small and ashamed because their stuff somehow just seeps out and like drains my energy. It's kind of a hard thing to describe, but as long as someone is lower in evolution than myself, then then inevitably I'm going to be like playing small, playing dumb, and playing like some other, I'm not fully in myself, because if I'm fully in myself, it's just not going to work. It's and that's what true in our families too. As soon as you stand up and you and you show your authenticity, it, their world is going to crumble. And they don't want that to happen. So then at that point, they're like, sayonara. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care if you're not in their life anymore. They want to maintain their denial, the fantasy that, and especially for narcissists, that, they don't want to acknowledge that shame that's deep, 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 that they've pressed down deep into their subconscious. And they don't want to go there at all costs, It's very apparent to me now, how this really works. And the more you can understand it, because it's really hard for us highly sensitive, empathic people to understand how a narcissist can do this, how a parent, someone who is supposed to be loving and empathetic and care about you and be that mirror for you, how could this person turn against you and betray you? It's really a kind of a betrayal of everything that a parent should be, and a betrayal to you, because they day by day were attacking your integrity. They were violating you, a psychological kind of rape, on a daily basis. Yeah. And I wanted to also, like, I watched this movie. It was called Don't Worry, Darling. It's kind of a sci-fi kind of psychological thriller. And wow, I think just watching that movie really was something that, sort of, what do you call it? Sort of like opened my eyes even a little bit wider to this, to the truth. And I would highly recommend watching it. It definitely shows what a truth teller goes through, and as they start to open their eyes to what's really going on, and how the other people respond. And they'll tell you, you're being delusional or paranoid or whatever. It's like, anyway, I highly recommend it. It's called Don't Worry, Darling. And I think that is all I wanted to tell you today. This is an incredibly painful, excruciating journey. And God, it's hard. It is so hard. And wherever you are, I'm sending you hugs. I'm sending you so many blessings of healing and awakening. And thank you for joining me today. And thank you to all the new viewers who are here. I hope you stuck around to the end of the video here. And thank you all for watching. Ciao for now.